Hey everyone, BioFan here with a post-launch news update on Mass Effect Andromeda. Before we get underway, if you haven't already, be sure to click that subscribe button and tap that bell next to it to stay up to date on all things BioWare. Anyway, let's get right on into recent news. We finally got a decent picture from EA as to how well Andromeda actually performed financially. Until now, solid figures weren't all that clear. Surprisingly, in contrast to all the negativity going around the community at the moment, Andromeda sold well. Not the show pony EA was expecting, but still, it made a decent profit. It was touted in a recent EA shareholders meeting as a driving force for the company's earnings and a significant contributor overall. However, if you weren't already aware, BioWare Montreal, the lead studio on Andromeda, has closed, and those developers, for the most part, are being absorbed into EA's Motive studio in the same city. So that branch of BioWare is no more. But we have to question, if it wasn't how the game performed financially, was it that the studio was axed due to public reception of the game alone? And what does this mean for the hope for DLC? Well, I covered a lot of that debacle in a previous video, but there's been some newer things to add to that as well. It appears that the franchise is entirely in the hands of the Edmonton studio, to whatever degree it will continue to exist in for the meantime, as merely multiplayer support, or maybe more? Producer Fernando Mello specifically is one of the developers still working on the franchise. Edmonton, by the way, was responsible for the entirety of the original trilogy. So that makes sense that Mass Effect would be in their hands after the closing of the Montreal studio. So, hope of saving the Quarians isn't 100% lost yet. I personally give it until about October before entirely counting it out with certainty. Right about now is when DLC would have been announced in a normal situation, looking at past BioWare DLC releases, but since they did extensive patching on the game, that, in theory, could have likely pushed back DLC development in Edmonton. Let's also keep in mind that Casey Hudson, the mind originally behind the franchise, is returning to BioWare to be the head of the developer as general manager. Aaron Flynn, the previous GM, has recently departed from BioWare. Best of luck to you in the future, Aaron. There's another, possibly DLC-related tidbit that's, well, odd, to be quite honest. The voice of Cora Harper, Jules DeJean, tweeted back in May that she was recording lines for the character. Voice actors are kept under pretty tight NDA, so I doubt she would tweet about DLC. So I'm not really sure what this is in regard to, but I would think maybe some patching perhaps? Like doing some better takes on lines or something? I don't know. There's been a number of patches so far for the game that have changed things from Cora and Liam's outfit colors to improving facial animations and more. I'll include links to them down in the description if you'd like to check them out. Also note that multiplayer has added 2 Batarians. Their inclusion is detailed in the lore as follows. The Scrapper is one of 2 Batarians who provided evidence against the leader of their former pirate gang. When Alliance Protection Services failed, the Batarians negotiated an asylum deal with the Initiative. The Solarians granted the Batarians cryopods on Ark Pachero to gain potential security assets. Happy to abandon pirate life, the Scrapper is starting to enjoy fighting for a greater purpose. Mass Effect Initiation by N.K. Jemisin appears to finally have a release date for November 28th. You can pre-order the novel now on Amazon, which costs about $8. The plot description reads, Lieutenant Cora Harper joins the Andromeda Initiative, a mission to send a fleet of colonization arcs to the Andromeda Galaxy, each carrying a different council race. When key data is stolen by unknown parties, Alec Ryder personally recruits Harper to retrieve it before it can be used against the Initiative. If she fails, the Andromeda mission may be crippled before it begins. Harper is a human who has trained with the Asari squad known as Talon's Daughters under the direction of Nasaria Takoth herself. Yet her training may not be enough when she discovers that she can trust no one, perhaps not even Ryder himself. The third and final Titan Books Andromeda novel, Annihilation, is still in the works. The author, Catherine Valente, while she couldn't say anything about the book, confirmed it's still happening. So there's at least 2 novels to look forward to. BioWare writer Courtney Woods recently revealed that Reyes Vidal would say he's of Chilean descent, though in typical Reyes fashion, who knows what the real answer is. That's all the news for this round. Be sure to catch up on all my development news coverage for all the BioWare game info there is. Do you think there will be DLC? What would you want from the DLC if it were to happen? Or would you prefer that BioWare focus instead on the next Mass Effect game? Tell me all about it down in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. And while you're down there, be sure to obliterate that like button and share this video with your friends, family, random strangers. It's all good. For instant news coverage of BioWare games, feel free to follow me on Twitter and other forms of social media, links to which can be found down in the video description. If you like my videos and would like to help support my channel and improve its quality, head on over to my Patreon page to donate.